Hi, and welcome to another flipped classroom video. Tonight we're going to learn about comparing fractions. But first, let's review what we have learned so far. What fraction of this square is purple? If you said 4/8, you are correct. There are 8 total parts, and 4 of them are purple. So 4/8 of the square is purple. What do we call the 8, or the part that tells us the total number? Good, the denominator. What will we call the 4? The part that tells us the number that are shaded or different in some way. The numerator. Excellent. Last week, when we folded our fraction strips, you may have started to notice that each section was getting smaller. Every time my denominator gets bigger, the section or the part of the strip got smaller. Why is that? When I increased from 2 to 3 to 4, the piece or part was getting smaller. Let's see if we can figure out why. If two people share a sandwich, what fraction of the sandwich would each person get? Here you can see that each part has been divided in half, and so each person would get 1/2 of the sandwich. But what if we divided that sandwich into more parts? If 4 people share a sandwich, what fraction of the sandwich would each person get? This time you're sharing that sandwich with 4 people, so you won't get to eat as much of the sandwich. Your part has gotten smaller. So each person will get 1/4 of the sandwich. When I started with one whole sandwich, you got it all to yourself. When you shared it between yourself and one other person, or 2 people shared it, you got less. And now that 4 people share the sandwich, you have an even smaller amount. As you share the sandwich with more people, or the denominator gets bigger, the part of the whole gets smaller. Remember that as we continue to compare fractions. Now let's compare numbers, starting with whole numbers. If I want to compare 52 to 71, I would first look at my tens place. I have a 5, which is 50, and a 7, which is 70. So 52 compared to 71. I know that 52 is smaller than 71, so I would say 52 is less than 71, and this is the symbol for less than. You might remember that it looks a little bit like an L, less than, facing in the same direction. Try 45 compared to 36. 45 is greater than 36. What symbol would I use, and what is it called? I might say greater than. 45 is greater than 36. Now let's compare fractions. This is the easiest when the denominator is the same. I'm comparing 2/3 to 1/3. I can look at my fraction pieces and see that 2/3 is greater than 1/3. Now this time, let's look at fractions where the denominator is different. So if I'm comparing 1/8 to 1/4, I want to think back to the sandwiches that we shared earlier. If I'm sharing that sandwich with 8 people, or if I'm sharing that sandwich with 4 people, which time will I get more sandwich to eat? When I have 1/8 of the sandwich or 1/4 of the sandwich? If I look at my fraction bars, I can see that 1/4 is greater than 1/8. But be careful, 1/8 comes first, so I wouldn't use greater than, I would use less than. 1/8 is less than 1/4. Let's try another one. Again, my denominators are different, but look, this time my numerator in the first fraction is 1, but my numerator in my second fraction is 3. So it's not as easy now to only think of the denominator. I'm going to have to look at my picture very carefully. So I'm comparing 1/2 to 3/8. That means I have 3 1/8 pieces, or if you looked at your fraction folder of strips, 3 parts of your 1/8 strip. I can see that 1/2 is longer or bigger or greater than 3/8. So I would say 1/2 is greater than 3/8. Even though 3 is bigger than 1 and 8 is bigger than 2, I have to remember that I'm not thinking about whole numbers. I'm thinking about how a one whole has been divided into smaller parts. So even though these individual numbers are larger, as a fraction, they are less. 3/8 are less than 1/2. Who loves chocolate? If you don't, pretend that if you loved chocolate, what fraction of this Hershey bar would you want? Remember, the denominator helps us think about how many people I would have to share the chocolate bar with. And if I loved chocolate, I would want as much chocolate as I could get. Decide which fraction would you want. Would you want 1/3 of the chocolate bar, 1/6 of the chocolate bar, or 1/12 of the chocolate bar? You'll have to decide and answer this question on your Google Doc. I'll see you tomorrow.